easy there.
At least the NHL got mentioned as opposed to the MLB, which just got pooped upon.
Good point.
I think in order for it to evolve into a more mainstream, almost product, like you're describing it, where people are buying memorabilia and wearing jerseys and all that kind of stuff, and really repping their squad or their city team. I think it's gonna take more than just guys with controllers in their hands. I think it's gonna be later on down the road once you have like VR style gladiator tournaments and stuff like that going on where
Actual
people can get more
athletes.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, they don't even necessarily have to be actual athletes. They could just be in a VR rig, but the projection that people are seeing throughout the stadium is, something that almost looks akin to Smite with like gods fighting or something, and it would be more interesting that way and more fun to go to the game and be a lot easier to get into. But yeah, just the way it is now, watching people play video games can only get so fun, and so I don't think it'll ever be that big until it changes.
Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from with that. Um, it's an interesting road because it's something we don't necessarily like. We have no example to kind of one to one reference
Yeah,
to, so it's like we don't know
right.
what's gonna happen. Uh, you're a huge sports guy too, Dom. Do you think this has like a legitimate chance of happening? Like, are you with Jordan that it needs to be something on top of this as well? What do you think are the chances?
Well, the biggest obstacle is, so yeah, like you said, I'm a big sports guy. So you think, well, and I love video games, so I should be into esports, right? And, like, not in the slightest, because the games that they're playing, I couldn't have less interest in, right? Because I love single player games for the most part. I don't care about Overwatch, or I don't even know what other. Definitely don't care about the MOBAs they play and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, but even if they were playing Dark Souls, would you care? If they were playing competitive
right.
Dark Souls.
Well, that's harder to do in a competitive. The games I like are not necessarily, they wouldn't lend well to a competitive league, I guess. Some of them would. You could work something in with Dark Souls PvP, and that could be interesting.
Well, not
But
even
so,
PvP. Would you watch a 1v1 speed run? Like, what if guy from Team A and Team B start at the
uh,
same time and it's a speed run? But you have no interest in speed runs either, right? So it's just you have no interest in watching other people play video games?
yeah, I guess the core point of it is that, like, sports are sports, and you like, one of the four main sports here, but there's just too many gamers that don't like the competitive type games, I guess.
Sports
So
are
that's the one
sports.
hurdle. The one
Yeah.
advantage, the one thing going forward that's going to make this more possible, though, is that we got to remember the generations here. So just now, like, people 5, maybe 10 years older than the three of us are the first generations of gamers who started gaming as a kid, right? So now that we're the adults in the world, we're starting to see more esports, and that's only going to grow in that regard, right? Because our parents and their parents, look at video games like, what the hell is this? This is garbage and a waste of time, right? And obviously, as time passes, generations are going to view them differently, and that's going to help that out a little bit. But I think that the selection is tough because, like, there's not 4 different types of esports for me to choose from that are different enough than hockey is different enough from basketball and football, right?
That's a good point.
I
Well,
don't know.
that's to you because you're not interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty and Dota are vastly different. Yeah.
Yeah, like I watch
Okay, right.
Overwatch esports, and I watch Smite esports. Not all the time. I don't keep up with them as much as football because I don't have like those ties to football or other sports. But I do watch them, and they are different, and they are entertaining because it's the same reason you watch football. You can go and watch a high school football game, but you want to watch the NFL because those are the best people in the world playing that sport, right?
Right.
And if you have a love for that game enough, and I think that's part of it too, is that you're not super into competitive games. For me, I love competitive games. I play Overwatch all the time. I play Smite all the time. So knowing that I'm decent at the game, I want to watch people who are really good. So
Okay, I got it. No, I have the crux of it. It just came to my head. So, like, I love hockey. I've been watching hockey and playing hockey since I was like 4 or 5 years old, right? My whole life.
yeah,
There's never really been a game that has, held the test of time for that many years. That's the core difference, right? So there's not as much connection to specific games as there are to sports. Because, baseball's been around forever. So there's so many more people with such a bigger connection to baseball than Overwatch, which is going to be huge for maybe 5 or 10 years or whatever. And then there's going to be something else, right?
yeah. Also, the thing too is that you didn't grow up playing Overwatch with your family. You grew up playing
That's true,
baseball
too.
or hockey
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
family. So there's that
Exactly.
emotional connection of you being younger and growing up with the sport, which that could possibly be a thing now of kids growing up with their parents watching esports together and they don't care about any
Yep.
NFL or NBA or MLB and they care about esports. So and the money's there. The most important thing is that the money's in esports. If
Yeah.
there wasn't money, this would never happen. The fact is that the prize pools are becoming larger and larger, and the millions and millions, and these guys are becoming millionaires by the time they're 21. Like big businesses are gonna want to get involved because there's money involved. So something's gonna happen to kind of quote unquote legitimize or make esports a bigger thing. I think it'd be, to me, whether or not esports becomes huge or not, I think it's cooler to cheer for the Chicago Rogues than it is to cheer for Noble Esports. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
We got it. We kind of strayed off your topic there, but going back to that, I agree with you completely. If there was like a Detroit team, of Overwatch, then I'd be that much more likely to
Intrigued.
watch that. Yeah.
Also, if you have like a marketing team and like a production team and stuff like that making like really cool gear, you might not follow every Overwatch game or every this or every that, but if their logo's cool and stuff, it says Detroit on the front or Michigan, you want to rep where you're from and you like that. So if it's a cool enough design, though you might not be a diehard fan, you might want to still wear it. You might not catch every Michigan Wolverines game, not you specifically, because obviously I know you watch every game, but there's people who like wearing the gear where they're from, even though they don't necessarily fully support the sports, right?
How about this? Maybe this is the entry. College esports, right? Think about it.
That's already kind of a thing.
That's exactly what esports are because most of the players are college age.
Well, but college sponsored, right? So
Yeah,
you
like
would get a
the
scholarship
Auburn,
to the
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. That'd be super interesting if like Auburn has a Dota team and like USC
Yeah.
and all these guys.
And you could get a Dota scholarship. Are you kidding me?
But then we're also having this huge issue with college athletes getting paid and stuff like that, which we can go in a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
on different
don't even get me
podcasts,
started on that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think
Catch
it's
us
really
next
cool.
week on Sports Talk.
Yeah.
Jordan, if where you're from had an esports team to cheer for, and maybe not even cheer for, but they had merch, would you be interested in like at least taking a glance at the team? Does that interest you more than enemy esports or stuff like that?
You probably couldn't pay me to watch that shit, dude.
That's interesting.
I mean, like it's cool and all, but yeah, it's not a thing for me. The only time I ever watch a Let's Play is if I'm really into the people playing it, or if I'm trying to find information about a game that just a regular trailer wouldn't tell me. And then besides that, I've never watched anything esports related. I couldn't imagine myself doing that. Like, it's just not the way I do things as far as how I interact with the gaming industry, and it's not enjoyable for me. So yeah, I mean, I obviously if you paid me, I'd fucking watch the shit. But also I'm just not. I've kind of my own personal thing about competition and the way it pits humanity against itself, and that's a whole other boat to go down, but yeah, that kind of stews into why I like single player games so much and why I like cooperative stuff so much, but yeah.
Well, we can get off this and go to the next topic, but real quick, like, I really wish Let's Plays were around when I was younger, for the simple fact that I grew up in a very low-income household. I could not play or afford many games at all, and to be able to get online and watch somebody else play through a game that I enjoy their personality and see a game, because I'll never be able to play it because I can't afford to get that game, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think that's why Let's Plays are so huge. Yeah.
I
bet
bet it's great for kids growing up now.
Yeah, I think it's all perspective. So.
Because there's tons of games that you want to experience, but you don't necessarily want to buy or play all the way through, or just have to deal with all that stuff for. You kind of just want to hop in and hop out. And so, yeah, I totally would have liked to had that, especially back when I was a kid. I just didn't have much money myself, and so, it was hard to buy games as a kid. So it's like, that is probably an awesome feature of today's childhood.
Yeah, and the cool thing too with esports is it doesn't need everybody to enjoy it. There's plenty of people who don't give two shits about sports, and the NFL and all of these sports leagues make tons and tons of money. So it'll find its audience. It already has, obviously.